gosh, 1 minute, just 1 minute, 1 minute from takeoff to crash. That was the fate of Air India's flight AI 171. But the thing about the period that we're living in, and social media, and we actually know the victims. We know a lot about the victims because many of the victims were families, people traveling between India and London in the UK. So you have families. There was a story of an Indian family was immigrating to the UK. 5 of them taking a picture, a selfie in the plane, sending it to their family just before takeoff. A minute after takeoff, that plane crashing. And then you also have a British couple, uploaded what would have been their final video of themselves at the airport moments before they boarded that Air India flight.
We are at the airport, just boarding. Goodbye, India.
Bye, goodbye.
Thank you.
10-hour flight back to England.
And again, a minute after that flight taking off, crashing, 242 people on board, 230 passengers, 12 crew, only one person surviving. Seat 11A. A man literally walked out of an air crash. But what's it telling us? Again, a Boeing flight, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. Boeing coming under serious fire over the last while for its recent safety record with crashes involving its airplanes. Joining me now, Ahmed Bassa, as aviation analyst. Really appreciate your time. What does this mean for Boeing? We have the civil aviation minister in India saying a formal investigation is underway. The Boeing CEO also having to come out and make public statements on what is another crash involving the airline.
Well, Lester, this is not good for Boeing because obviously, in the last few years with the 737 MAX, it's been a very negative perception about Boeing, and Boeing lost market share. It lost its value on the stock exchange, and it brought in a new set of executives with the new CEO. But the surprising thing is that the 787 is a very advanced aircraft, and this is the first crash after 1,300 aircraft that were manufactured starting in 2013. And there's a multiplicity of factors that have to be taken into consideration. And the sad part about this whole thing is that, you have loss of life in such large numbers. And somewhere along the line, someone didn't do the job properly. And the early indications is that when the pilot took off, he broadcasted the Mayday call, and he said, "I'm losing power. I don't have enough power to lift this aircraft." Now, 787 has General Electric Gen X engines, which are about the most powerful twin-engine aircraft used. And we'll only know what happened when the voice recorder and the cockpit voice recorder and the technical recorder of the actual aircraft functioning will tell us what happened. The initial assessments were the following. He took off at the intersect, which means he took off half of the runway, and that hasn't been confirmed or rejected. Secondly, 787 fail measure backup systems. If that aircraft didn't rotate enough to get the requisite thrust to take off, that aircraft would have aborted that takeoff. But the thing that's important is that the trim of the aircraft, where the leading edge and the trailing edge, those are very grainy in terms of the video, and we don't know whether the aircraft configuration was actually correct in takeoff mode. So
Ahmed,
there's a lot of
very quickly, running out of time, but earlier this year, Boeing had reached a settlement agreeing to pay something like $1 billion in compensation for victims. Does this then complicate Boeing's air safety record, particularly now that there's so much scrutiny over the airline manufacturer?
Well, if you look at some of the safety measures that we're supposed to have taken, a passenger door blows out at height. It doesn't happen, not in modern aircraft. Then you had a whistleblower that went and appealed and he said that, we are taking shortcuts, we are taking short measures in the way that we do quality checks on aircraft. And he's the one that I think he was shot or committed suicide. So it's very complicated. And the problem here is that, Airbus wants to ramp up its production and have the numbers up. But, at the end of the day, the safety record of the aircraft and the disaster with Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines was a huge wake-up call for Boeing. But I don't think it was enough for them to be able to say, we need to revisit the way that we manufacture our aircraft.
Ahmed Bassa, really appreciate your time, aviation analyst.